F1 has now reached the summer break, which means that it is time for me to take a look at the performances of this year's drivers as I pick my top 5 worst drivers so far in 2023. Now let's get to the video. For this, we're going to be looking at how the drivers compare with their teammates and also how they have performed in general when out on track. Please note that this is just my opinion, so please do not be too offended if you are not a fan of my choices and one of your favourite drivers just happens to be in this list. Down below in the comments, let me know though, who are your top 5 worst drivers so far this year? In 5th place, I have gone for Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. Last season, Magnussen made his grand return to F1 with the Haas team and shocked everyone with an incredible performance at the beginning of the season in Bahrain, and then he had a brilliant pole position at Interlagos in a dry wet qualifying for the Brazilian Grand Prix. However, so far in 2023, K-Mag has really gone under the radar and has been somewhat outshined by his new teammate for 2023, Nico Hülkenberg. The Haas car has been notoriously slow when it comes to race pace so far, as the car has just been way too hard on its tyres, meaning that any good result from qualifying has been instantly wiped away halfway into the first stint of any race. Due to how bad the Haas has been in races, we can only really take a look at qualifying. And well, in qualifying it is 9-3 in the favour of Hülkenberg, as Nico Hülkenberg has made Q3 6 times so far this year, whereas Kevin Magnussen has 7 Q1 eliminations. That being said, in the races things have been a lot better as they are 6-6, but as I mentioned, this is partially due to how bad the Haas car is in race trim. Hülkenberg has 9 points to his name, whereas Kevin Magnussen only has 2 points. For K-Mag, he really needs to improve in qualifying, as right now it is easy to forget Magnussen even exists in F1. I do fear he may lose his seat in 2024, especially with the rumours growing about Alfa Romeo sponsoring Haas from next season, which means that we could see someone else in the seat, such as Zhou Guanyu, who does have heavy backing from the Alfa Romeo team. In 4th place, I have gone for Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. Lance has always been a driver that for many only got his seat in F1 because of his father, and well, it does kind of help that his father owns the team as Aston Martin. However, as Aston Martin continue to try and move forward as a team, the spotlight starts to shine even brighter on them, and when that happens, it becomes even more clear and frankly somewhat depressing that Aston Martin is a one-man team, because Stroll sadly cannot match his teammate Fernando Alonso. In fact, Stroll most times struggles to get anywhere near his teammate Alonso. For the first parts of the year, Aston Martin were the clear second fastest team, but yet Stroll only has 47 points to his name, whereas Fernando Alonso has 149. Aston Martin are still third in the Constructors' Championship, but with both McLaren and Ferrari closing in very quickly, it is likely that Aston Martin will end the season 5th in the Constructors, and if this happens, it will be mostly down to Lance Stroll not being able to get anywhere near his teammate and get the same results as Fernando. In Budapest, when you compare the two drivers, you can see that Stroll just has nowhere near the pace of Alonso, and this could be said for many races so far this year. Alonso is 10-2 up in qualifying, and it is 11-1 in race trim, just showing how dominant Alonso has been when compared to his teammate. Lance Stroll also has a Q1 elimination to his name, whereas Alonso has made Q3 every single race weekend. For Stroll, his seat is probably safe, but if Aston Martin ever do move closer to fighting the likes of Red Bull, then they will need to consider dropping Lance Stroll for someone who will be able to fight a little closer to Fernando Alonso. I just want to say, if you are enjoying the video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get back to the video and let's talk about the top 3 worst drivers so far in 2023, in my opinion. In 3rd place, I have gone for Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Now, yes, Perez is in 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, which is exactly where he needs to be. However, it has not been easy for Perez, despite the fact that the Red Bull is by some distance the fastest car out there. Sergio Perez has 3 Q1 eliminations to his name and also 3 Q2 eliminations. Perez has been able to make up for it when it comes to the races, simply because Red Bull is at its strongest when it comes to race trim. But even so, he has not been on the podium every race like you would have expected in a car that is as dominant as the Red Bull, and he is only second in the Drivers' Championship because the Aston Martin has lost the performance edge that they had at the early part of the year, and Mercedes only really started to improve after the upgrades that were brought to the Monaco Grand Prix. In general, Perez has not been anywhere near his teammate Verstappen, and you can really see that when we take a look at the last race at Spa. Here you can see he just does not match Verstappen, and Max really is able to lap anywhere between 0.6 to 1.2 seconds faster per lap than his teammates. And all of that is with Verstappen being nowhere near the limit to how fast he potentially could have gone. For Sergio Perez in the second half of the year, he really needs to put in more performances like he did in Spa. If he can do that, then he wouldn't be anywhere near the bottom 5. He just needs to make sure he finishes second in the races and at least gets through to Q3 more often. In second place, I have gone for Logan Sargeant in the Williams. Logan is of course a rookie, so he should be given some slack. However, it has been clear this season that Williams is a one-man team, as Alex Albon has put in some brilliant performances, whereas Sargeant has not really featured at all so far. You can see that by qualifying alone, Sargeant has 10 Q1 eliminations, whereas Albon has reached Q3 4 times. Williams so far has 11 points, and all 11 of those points has been scored by Alex Albon. You can see when we take a look at the two from the Austrian Grand Prix that Sargeant just cannot match the pace of Albon. The Williams is in general a very low downforce car, which for Sargeant as a rookie could be very difficult to handle, and that could be the main reason for the large discrepancy in performance between the two drivers. Also, Albon already has had a full season in this car from 2022. I would give Sargeant a little bit more time before judging him too harshly, especially given how rookies have very little time to get used to the car these days with a massive lack of testing. However, he does need to improve his performances in the second half of the year, and if he is in Williams next year, then he will really need to improve. And in first place, to the surprise of no one I imagine, I have gone for Nyck Devries. Nyck has had frankly a shocking time in F1, and just was nowhere near his teammate Tsunoda. The AlphaTauri has not really been a great car, but it cannot be a coincidence that as soon as Ricciardo jumps in the car, he instantly is able to put some pressure on Tsunoda. Ricciardo had of course been unfortunate in Budapest at the beginning of the race, and he could have scored points had he not been involved in an incident at the start of the race, which is just something you could not have imagined from Nyck Devries. Sadly for Nyck, his F1 career was over before it really had any chance of getting started, and it is unlikely that he will ever find himself in a race seat in Formula 1 ever again. He was a rookie, but he was already in his late 20s, meaning that it is not likely a team will pick him up. I can see him performing in Formula E again, and he could probably do a decent job over in Formula E, but F1 was just not working for him, and you could see that with the performances, and that is why for me, he was the worst driver so far in 2023. So, that is my list. But the question is, what is your top 5 list for worst drivers so far in 2023? In the comments, let me know down below, and as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.